Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION, the only Law and Order SVU video podcast, the longest running SVU after show, and the only place to find me and Taylor and usually Felicia as well talking SVU. Welcome to our show. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm joined today by Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello.
Hello.
Wore a blazer for this occasion.
Yes, we are fancy today.
Organized crime, putting the organized and organized crime. Feel
Love
very professional.
Beautiful. Welcome to all of our live viewers who are watching us on YouTube. We love having you here. If you're watching us later or listening to our podcast, stick around for a little contest we're doing. We have all that information at the end. Today we are talking season 22, episode 13, Trick-Rolled at the Moulin. We are also discussing a little bit of Organized Crime season 1, episode 5, and Inferior Product as it relates to the SVU episode, not the entire Organized Crime episode.
Correct. You would probably get very confused, as I was a little bit, because I've decided to binge at the end, and so watching this as a one-up was quite a trip. Let me tell you, I was trick-rolled by Organized Crime.
That's not how that works, but I like it.
It's not. I always want to say Rick-rolled though, which is like I think that would be a good episode. Like if you guys want to steal that, like feel free. Rick-rolled.
Wonderful. Yeah. Welcome. We have some people live watching us. I want to give out some shout outs. Welcome Laya. Welcome Daryl. Welcome Rosa. Welcome Jennifer. Before we jump into this, Jennifer is Rick rolling us here.
Thank you, Jennifer. I really do appreciate
that. As a reminder, if you're in a situation where you need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. Again, 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does 4673 spell?
It spells out hope.
It does. Also, Zach is here. Welcome, Zach. Thank you all for being here. Before we jump into this episode, as a reminder, here on Law and Order SVU, sometimes the show will go dark and talk about real serious issues. And when it does that, Taylor and I will not. So be prepared. I'm bringing you into this, Taylor. Be prepared for some commentary that might not be the most helpful if you are in a situation that can't handle it, if that makes sense. Yep, I'm done with my advisory.
I think that you've covered it.
You've been warned. Let's move it along. Here is the quick cap for SVU season 22, episode 13, Trick-Rolled at the Moulin. It is the SVU searches for 3 women suspected of drugging and robbing wealthy men. The case leads to personal connections for both Benson and Kat. I'm not reading the one for Organized Crime because it was relevant. So let's discuss this episode. Taylor, what did you think of this episode?
I think this episode had its moments. I do really appreciate that we got some closure on Simon, because that was a big thing that we discussed when we watched the episode where he died. We were like, what was the point? I don't really understand why they did this. And so it's nice that they've continued that conversation and given us some more insight and sort of woven it into Organized Crime too. I thought that was like an interesting way to bring the two together. And I thought that there was some great lines that we'll get to. And best moment by far, the lipstick saying lawyer, kissing the mirror. I'm so glad they wrote that in there, because that will be a moment I remember. It will live in my head rent free. I know that right now.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your thoughts on this episode. I agree. I appreciate that we got it closure on Simon. I spent most of the episode shouting, Simon's not an addict. This doesn't make any sense. And shouting at Benson, it has nothing to do with Simon. But I will say, we all know I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And at some point, they tied it together in a way that I understood and have accepted and believe. And I went, fine, this is what happened to Simon. So I do like that. Upon rewatch, this episode was fun. There are parts where I literally laughed out loud. And I did it upon both viewings. I laughed at the same part, which is such a good joke, and I cannot wait to get to it. I also think if this was the plan when they killed Simon, I'm impressed with the forethought. I will say that.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I was wondering that because I honestly, I should have looked it up, but when did Simon actually die? What episode was that? Was it season
people in the
21?
chat, please
Yeah,
Google this for us at this moment.
It was not this season, right?
It was last
earlier.
season.
Last season, okay. Yeah, because they kept saying a year and a
pre-COVID.
half. It felt so recent that I was like, that was earlier this season, but like it wasn't. But I don't know. That's why I haven't getting it all.
It was in
up,
season 21. I know that because there was also, it was the same time that they killed Tucker, and I went, "Oh,
right.
we're just bringing in people to kill him off to tie up those
right.
loose
It was
ends."
like a very close domino effect. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. We have some opinions in the chat. Daryl says, I thought it was an interesting episode. It was interesting. Interesting is a nice way to put it. Jennifer says, agreed with Yael. I will give it credit for that. Yeah, they did find a way to tie it together. Zach got it for us. It was season 21, episode 6, Murdered at a Bad Address.
Yes.
I forgot about that title.
It's not Hunt Trap Release, whatever, but it's not far from it.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So there were some things that I did enjoy. I will say bringing back Javi / Xavier Garcia.
Do we know his name? Can someone clarify what
that's his name? His name is Xavier.
Is it Javier or is it Xavier?
I think you're thinking about two different languages. In English, I think it would be Xavier. In Spanish, it is Javier. Girl, his name is Javier Garcia.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, people can just call him Javier.
They could.
Period.
That's
okay.
I would say it's like guys named George and Jorge, where it depends on who's saying the name.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like Americanized.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Yael.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I call you Yael. That's your parent given name. I assume. I don't know anything different.
If you watched last week's episode, my mother calls me something else. Anyway, so I also loved the connection. So we brought him back. I love the connection to the voicemails. I liked that being like a common theme, was this idea. First of all, we start with a voicemail. Then we talk about Lily, Kat's cousin, who called him and left a voicemail. And then it ties it into Benson's guilt over the voicemail she left. So that was a fun, themes.
When are we going to give Lily the time and attention she deserves? Because we always sneak her in and have her do a little something. She's iconic. I want more of her. I want her to be the center character. Why not? You know, it's my favorite kind of character.
Yes. She cannot. She cannot, because unless her and Kim get together and make mischief.
Let's do it.
That's the only way.
I want it now. I want it now.
It's as soon as we walked into that club and we saw him, I was like, oh, I think that's that guy from that episode. So it was really great to see him come back. But basically, for those who somehow missed this, the story, or the con that these women were pulling, is the one from Hustlers.
Yeah, where's J-Lo?
Right.
Where's J-Lo?
I mean, it was very clear who was who, which I liked. But yeah. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to our ripped from the headlines segment. I will say, when the cops came in, this was like my pet peeve. So once Javi's dead, the women abandon him. And then when the cops come in, he is tied with very expensive BDSM equipment. And I was like, why would they leave such expensive equipment?
Like Finn said, you can't find this at Home Depot.
Correct. I was like, that's quality stuff. Why are you leaving that there?
Yeah, that's a little bizarre.
That's my big note for this question is, You must be making a lot of money because you'd have to keep reordering stuff. Anyway, not the point. We also meet a couple, because we do go to a couple different hotels. We meet this wonderful security guy who was a former cop. I want to give him a shout out because it was so good. Oh, I don't remember what was the guy's name? Was he Mulhall?
Yeah, I think so.
So Bruce McVitie was really fantastic. Except for when he blamed the victim. When he was like, this guy was at the wrong place, the wrong time. He was where he should have been. This wouldn't happen.
Like, sir, I don't think he meant to get here. Like, I don't think this was his plan.
Also, he wanted to go to Vegas. They chose to go to a cheap hotel.
I thought they were going to go to Vegas for a second, honestly. I was like, let's go. I was ready.
I thought they were going to go to a fancy hotel. You know what I mean? Like, he's wealthy.
That's what I thought. I thought they were going to go on like a private jet to Vegas.
Yeah.
But no. Went to the Moulin. What is it called?
Moulin, like Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, Moulin.
Gross.
I can never pronounce it. Sorry. I didn't take French. I took Spanish in high school.
The movie Moulin Rouge. All right.
I know, but I don't. When I just kind of mumble. I just say the Nicole Kidman movie when I'm talking about that because I don't know how to pronounce it.
I can't. The Nicole Kidman movie, like there wasn't a full, beautiful cast. All right.
Sorry.
Daryl says, I think the writers were making a point about victim blame switch up. Interesting. I like that.
That's true.
I really liked that because I think that that is interesting, the way that he did it. Shh. Sorry, there was a motorcycle being loud. All right.
Did it shut up when you told it to?
It did not.
Oh.
So let's talk a little bit about Lily coming in.
Yeah, but I first want to talk about my favorite little side character, which was Tattooed Bartender. I just wanted to give her a shout out because I liked her a lot. I would go to that bar and leave for a good tip. She was very cooperative, very knowledgeable, seemed like a very good bartender.
That would be actress Caitlin Kirchner playing Amy Kress. Nicely done.
Love you.
Yeah, she was really fun.
Great.
So Lily comes in and tells us that Javi doesn't date Insta girls anymore because he promised. I straight up had to explain that she and him, that like they met via, like she was the Insta girl that he met.
Yeah, Lily's not like the sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, Jennifer says, I wish Lily realized he was a jerk before he died. You can't.
True. I was wondering that too, because like we kind of left that on a cliffhanger-ish thing last time with the two of them. So I was kind of surprised that they killed him off without ever like acknowledging that, I guess. They didn't really even acknowledge it in this episode, I didn't think.
It just, the thing is, it reminds me of when a mistress becomes the main girl. I'm like, well, you were the mistress. You were the one he cheated with. He's gonna do it again.
Right.
So if you're the Insta girl,
he's gonna be looking at other Insta girls.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't acknowledge a lot of stuff about we don't know really about Lily and him, how much they were still together or whatever. We just know that she thought they were still together. So that's that.
And that's not a reliable narration, I wouldn't say.
Right. I do love that Finn mentions that Phoebe was reached out to about this. These women are not known by Vice, which I find odd.
Yeah, me too.
Especially because we've established that this is a pattern. And one of the like hotel guys was like, yeah, I've seen them before.
Right. Yeah, that was a little bit of a disconnect.
But I do like at least that Phoebe's name was brought in because she does work at Vice.
Yeah, she's amazing. Bring her in more.
Also returning this episode was Melinda Warner.
Yes. And I was so happy to see her.
I really liked her in this episode. I mean, I always love her, but I absolutely loved that she like reminded us of what her job is.
Right.
Where her, like what her limitations are and what she's like, this is what she's supposed to do.
I love that she can like very much hold her own, but it's just like so effortless. Olivia's like, well, did you look in? And she's like, it's not my job.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, very true. I even said that. I was like, I don't think that that's her role in this. I think that she looks at the body pretty much.
Right. She is limited to what the body tells her.
Exactly.
That's her job.
Yes.
Yeah. But she does get to say a fantastic line.
Yep.
Is that he went. He didn't come.
And that harkens back to one of her other iconic lines. He came and then he went.
Yes.
And I love that they gave us a variation on that.
I imagine that every time it's relevant, she said, like, that's her catchphrase.
As it should be. It's unbeatable.
Yeah. So then we get another victim, which they pulled so many storylines in this one. This guy, they call him Robin Hood. You know, he's squeezing the hedge funds. I was like, subtle. Yeah. The most subtle. Yeah. All right. And then that gets us to the Hotel Moulin and Benson connecting it all in her head. Honestly, I spent most of the episode thinking that it was not going to be related, that the end was going to be that Simon just was apparently a junkie and died.
I didn't think that. I figured they tied together just because I felt like the crossover hinged on that in a way. And like, why would it have been relevant if not? But
I mean, I think that it's.
But I can see them going the route that you're saying too. Be like, just kidding.
Well, because it's still. She's looking for this thing, and it still would have worked out with organized crime because they're still going after the dealers. They're still going after the people making the drugs. So like it still would have connected on that side. I didn't necessarily, especially the more that we learned about these women and what they were doing. Where was the part Finn even says, like, this crew targets high rollers. Simon was down on his luck. Like, Simon always was kind of a loser. And, like, that was the thing that, what's his face? Hold on, his name. Badusky said, was like, he was smart. He just made bad choices. He and I, they kind of had, like, parallel lives where one of them went well and one of them didn't. So I found that really interesting, and I kind of feel like that could have been like maybe even Simon was wrong place, wrong time. You know what I mean? Like it would have just been so interesting to not have it. I guess my issue is like when somebody goes, this has to be connected. I'm like, does it?
Yeah, that's fair.
So
sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Then we find Dr. Linderman, which gets us at least to Piper's name. Dr.
Linderman was wild. Let me just say, he's a pediatric neurosurgeon, but he's still gonna party. You know,
he's got to let off steam.
Some steam. Perhaps not before you're, operating on children. I don't. Just a thought. Just a suggestion.
We can only assume that he does it when he does not have surgery the next day.
I mean, that would be very responsible. Like, I would respect that, but
he seems like a responsible junkie because he did like take care of himself when he was like, uh-oh.
I loved his like pal being the hotel manager guy. He was such a good friend. He was just like, he's a great guy. Like, don't think he isn't. He took care of my granddaughter who had migraines. I thought that guy was so funny. He was so sincere. Yeah.
The hotels each had very interesting people.
I agree.
So when we meet Piper by name, she's getting into the car with Felix, who we had seen briefly earlier as the quick ride driver. Quick ride, as we all know.
I love the quick ride. We love the quick ride here.
as soon as we saw him in that first scene, I was like, this guy's connected to this. He's like obviously involved. And then when he was turning on Piper, I was like, does Finn not see that this guy's obviously involved?
Right.
Especially when she goes, get in, let's
Yeah,
we're gonna
she's
run
like
away.
throwing her stuff in the trunk. I'm like, I think she probably knows him.
Yeah.
I would not be you would not get 5-star rating if you're acting like that with any Uber or Lyft driver or quick ride driver. They'd be like, get out. This is not how you treat my car.
Yeah. And then Piper, I mean, obviously she does not care about other people's property because she stains that mirror with lipstick.
Dare I say legendary behavior though?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was so good. That actress like made the most of her time, and I appreciated that. Even when they were talking, you could see her like dancing around in the interrogation room, and it was killing me. She was like stretching and like doing her hair. I was like, she really is just going all in at every second, and I very much respect that.
Charlotte McKee, really amazing performance as
Iconic.
Piper. I would also say the other women as well. Courtney Carter, who played Despina, and Teresa Ting, who played Jade. Like, these were really amazing characters that I would love to see again.
I agree. I mean, obviously they were terrible people, but like they were very fun to watch.
Jade, I feel like, I mean, yes, sure, villains, but like Jade's understand, like her whole thing was understandable. She's like, all I have is my mind, my body, my daughter. That's all I have in this world. Which at that moment I went, you just gave them leverage by mentioning the daughter. What are you doing?
I agree. I totally agree. But I like that also connected to the next episode. It like when it clicked, I was like, oh, I do like that this actually did cross, franchises.
Yes. Yeah. So we learn about Badusky. He went to high school with Simon. Then we hear like the story of what happened, and I'm like, you tampered with a crime scene. Why are we not arresting him for like bare minimum of that?
He was like such an idiot too. His last quote, I thought was the dumbest thing I've ever heard anyone say. Simon died happy. He had one last good time. That's I mean, I guess you tell yourself what you need to, but I don't know that I would view that the same way.
I also don't know that Simon would be like there's some people that would say that about themselves, being like, well, at least I would die happy. You know what I mean? Simon's not that kind of person.
No, not at all.
But you know what I mean? There are people like that.
That's true. That line just killed me. I was like, you're so stupid.
Speaking of stupid, let's talk about the Snapchat. Let's talk about so I appreciate that Piper had a file on her iPad called insurance. I think that was hilarious and genius and made her seem a lot smarter than she seemed to be, which I appreciated.
Agreed.
Because I think I was thinking about it and I was like, she has all these selfies, and I was like, that feels like the way that she did it. She knew to do it, right? She knew she would need this insurance against her crew. But I was like, how do you get this photo? And I went, that's her character. Like, her character is that Insta girl who would take selfies wherever she is.
Yeah.
Over
a dead body.
Yeah. She's smarter than we thought, except for the Snapchat.
Yeah. She had good intentions with it for saving herself.
Right.
Maybe put some more passwords on that.
Sure.
I don't know.
The fact that Kat could break it and they didn't need Taro to do it is something.
Telling, yes.
I also think, so once we get this picture of Felix and we take that to Jade and they're like, who's this guy you're kissing? And she says, I kiss a lot of men. And
I like Jade.
I was like, that feels real.
It does. It really does.
We find out he's obviously the baby daddy. Like, I don't know why that was not clear from the beginning. And they try to find, Stabler points out that we need to find him before Wheatley does, which ties it again into the other episode. We find him, we throw him undercover, we get him shot.
Oops.
Basically.
My bad.
So in our episode, I do appreciate that we wrap up the storyline. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the original crossover pilot intro spinoff, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Where like we wrapped up our story in a way that we're like, this is it. And then they go and take it elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Which I do think is actually kind of interesting. I did enjoy watching both of them back to back. It's like, oh, we're seeing different perspectives of kind of the same case. We get to focus in on different elements of like the people's lives of the case. I thought that was kind of cool to be able to watch it back to back and get like a more in-depth understanding of this like one thing that we're kind of examining.
Sure. And I liked the stuff that did connect, but I did feel like the organized crime episode, like aside from that first scene, which had Olivia in it, it like really took off on its own story. And I was like, oh, why would I sit through this?
Yeah, I did like that we got to see Olivia and what's the little girl's name? Gianna.
Yeah. I agree that made sense. And then she gets her closure, I guess, with Uncle K. Cool.
He's just going out for a Happy Meal, man.
Yeah, that the second episode feels like they needed 15 more minutes of SVU and not to cross over with organized crime.
Yeah, I will say that I am a sucker for Olivia and Elliot together again. It's fun to watch them, I will say. I just think it's cool to be able to watch season 1 and then this season and see so much has happened. Their dynamic is still so strong, and it's just fun to see them back together again. So even if the episodes are like not living up to exactly what we want, I'm like willing to excuse it because I genuinely just enjoy seeing those characters together again.
Well, so let's talk about the scene in SVU where he is there after she sees Warner, which I really appreciate that Warner was like, I reached out to him. And then it cuts to him, which I really liked that. So he, lets Benson know, as he said in the voicemail, Kathy was the target. And Benson is like, did you hear anything we said to you the other night? You need to slow down, take care of yourself, go home, get some rest. That scene was weird to me. First of all, she said the word Elliot like 15 times, which felt so unnecessary, but also at least one of them should have been just L. But so like it was odd to have her say his name fully so many times.
It's also, we've talked about it before, like the shit baitiness of it.
Yes.
These felt like they're just digging in deeper and deeper, which I'm along for the ride, let's be honest. But the fact that she's like, they're telling me to stay away from you. And Elliot has that scene with Belle, and she's like, you need to move on. And it's just like everyone's keeping them apart. It's just it's so funny. It feels kind of YA, and like that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just very different than anything we've really seen on the show.
I totally agree. And you're right. They are baiting us. Sarah Puhala, thank you for being here. In the chat says lots of questions online about the possible missing scene from a diner that was in the promo, but not in the episode. Maybe they're saving it or they're just torturing us. I think it was either cut or moved. And it's weird. Jennifer says it felt forced and fan fiction-y. That's true. And
oh well.
Here's the other thing. I'm going to say spoilers to anyone not watching Organized Crime or who did not watch this episode for some reason. It's odd because, so that was your spoiler warning. It's odd because in Organized Crime, we have him weirdly making out with Wheatley's ex, which I honestly was like, she's a villain. I don't like this. And then the huge reveal at the end is that she ordered the murder of Kathy, which means that she's been involved from the beginning, which like we know because we've seen that in the first episode, but like, what?
It's gonna be a wild time. That whole scene of them on that like balcony or terrace or whatever they were, it's not Law and Order, and that's okay, but it felt so, it's not anything that we've seen in this universe. There's like no dialogue for like 2 straight minutes of them just kind of staring at each other, wondering what's gonna happen. It's so interesting to see SVU and then that, and like that would not happen on SVU ever, even though it's the same universe. Like we would never have a scene like that, I don't think.
The only way we'd have a scene like that is if one person was wearing a wire and it was on purpose.
Exactly.
Like it makes me think of when Benson invited the FBI guy over for drinks, and it was to catch him as the murderer. You guys know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm. But like that's the only time that I could think of, or the time where she ended up going over to the guy's house who raped little girls and painted his sister.
Yes,
is like that.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just shot so differently too, like from like a directing standpoint.
But like that's the only times that we would see that.
Exactly, not just for character purposes. It'd be for like a very immediate plot purpose. I'm sure that will serve a plot purpose. Obviously, those two hooking up and then she's ordering the hit. But yeah, I mean, the relationship matters. I think it's gonna drive something eventually, but not immediately. Well, hello, like now he's entangled with his wife's murderer.
He shouldn't have been entangled to begin with. Anyway, not the point. Any other thoughts on this actual episodes of SVU?
No, I don't think so.
Great.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that I loved that Belle's married. Belle. I don't know her first name. I'm sorry, Captain
Ayana.
Ayana. Is married to a woman. We love that, and I'm curious to see when I do watch OC from the beginning, and because I feel like the only way I'm gonna be able to understand it is if I watch it from the beginning, like binge it. But like her nephew, I wonder what's gonna happen there.
Nope, that was just that. The nephew scene was just that.
It's not gonna do anything else.
It may continue, but I'm saying there's nothing before that you would have needed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
And we've met her wife before.
Okay. Well, yeah. I love them. So
Daryl points out if only Elliot was where he was supposed to be. I like that.
Ooh, snap.
So good. Amazing. Yeah, before we move on to best lines, I will just one more time say upon second viewing and watching the SVU episode solo, it is good. It's a good episode. It's fun. It's laugh out loud funny at parts. Yeah, it was fun. So yeah, let's get into best lines because I want to tell you the parts where I literally laughed twice.
And do you want to go first then?
I'm going to go first. Okay, I don't want you to steal this one. Because she says, I started from the bottom. And Benson says, but now you're here.
I also was like, that's a song lyric, but that's okay.
Laughed both times that I heard it. And the second time I knew it was coming and it still made me laugh.
That is great.
Such a good one. I already said he went, he didn't come. And there was one more. It was Xavier, what's your PIN number?
Okay, I'm gonna jump off of that one because his PIN number is the first digits of pi. And I think that's incredible. It's like 314159. I was like, so the first digits of pi. Interesting choice. I kind of love that detail.
It's amazing. Actually. I love that detail. I didn't even catch it because I was too busy going, he's saying too many numbers.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, it should be 4, right? And then he just kept going. I was like, okay. Maybe they wanted to make it very obvious. This is the first digits of pi. So the people who won their 7th grade math competition by knowing the most, me, would pick up on it.
I also knew the most, but still.
Wow, look at us. Do we need all the pie off?
No. I don't think I still know it, but we'll
No,
find
I
out.
know like the ones that he typed, and that's about it.
Okay.
Another Xavier / Javier quote, when, what was her name? Despina comes over to the table and she's like, "Do you mind?" And he's like, "Nah, 3 works for my algorithm." I was like, I can't
That
do
is a
this
good line.
today. Jade saying "Save It Legal Aid." Just the delivery of "Save It Legal Aid" was fantastic.
Delivery on a lot of things was phenomenal.
She was great. I loved her. And then this is technically an organized crime quote, but the fact that Elliot doesn't know what an L is, he's been taking a lot of L's lately. L's? Losses. Like, that is, come on. Eli didn't teach you that.
They were in Italy.
That's true. Maybe they don't take L's in
I don't think
Italy.
they take L's in Italy.
That was it. Those
amazing. Those are so good ones. I'm just looking through my thing because I didn't separate them, so I'm looking to see if there's any others that I've missed.
I did like the whole fight where it was at. Oh, I did want to mention also Purple Magic. Yael and I have agreed that gives us big jingle jangle from Riverdale Energy. The fact that it's called Purple Magic, street drug, and also just the argument between Elliot and Olivia after she gets out of like being questioned about whether Felix, like they should have saved Felix. I thought was just like so funny because it felt so old school of them, very bickery and very passive aggressive, which I kind of really loved. And the fact that she's a captain now and he's not is adding a fun dynamic.
I absolutely love that she is above him. I love that you bring that up because Daryl said earlier, something's wrong. Okay, let's stay here and do nothing. Correct. That is what happened.
And the fact that it was like delivery, like bike delivery people like charging at him, I thought was kind of funny too. I was like, they are door dashing somewhere, but it's their door dashing murder is what they're door dashing.
Amazing. All right, so let's head over to Ripped from the Headlines because yes, this episode was obviously inspired by Hustlers. Now, what you may or may not know about Hustlers, the film from 2019.
I was like, are we talking about a different Hustlers?
No, Hustlers 2019 premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. Here's what you may not know is that this is actually based on, that one was ripped from the headlines. In 2014, Elizabeth, a journalist, was working on a story involving former New York City-based stripper Dorothy, known as Destiny, and Destiny's former friend and mentor, Ramona Vega. 7 years prior, Destiny was working in Moves, a strip club to support her grandmother, just barely getting by. And she started following the story of how Destiny and Ramona and all these women started drugging men and rolling them. So if you are interested in more about the headline that this is ripped from, yes, you can read the article that it was inspired by. The article is from New York Magazine's 2015. It was called "The Hustlers at Scores." Sorry. It was written by Jessica Pressler. Apologies on that. But you can check that out, or you can watch the movie Hustlers, which is really good, and I think you should watch it.
It is very good. Also, it's a fun time.
Lizzo and Cardi B are in it, so
it's the perfect movie, if we're being honest.
It's quality. So if you liked this case, check out that movie. Also, I have actual show news for those who somehow missed this news. It seems that in the fall, when TV returns, Thursdays are Law and Order Thursdays, starting with the brand new Law and Order for the Defense, I believe it's called, which is the newest spinoff series. And Organized Crime has been renewed for a second season. Yay. So
we love that. because we were in a little period where we were just focusing on Chicago, and I'm glad that we are looping back to Law and Order,
Yeah.
beefing up those franchises again.
NBC will soon become DWC because Wednesdays are all Chicago and Thursdays are all Law and Order.
This feels very like nostalgic, I feel like, because
Mhm.
it's like the ABC Shonda shows. Like that was a thing for a while.
It used to
So it's
be.
cute.
I mean, Dick Wolf used to also have Wednesday nights just regularly with Law and Orders.
That's true. I love it that we're coming back to that.
Yeah. So that's the if you missed it, it's been renewed. And SVU was renewed through season 24 already. So we already knew that. So no need to worry on that one. But for the defense, here's what I'm going to ask all of our wonderful listeners and viewers, because it's about defense attorneys. And one of our favorite prosecutors just started doing defense. Do we think?
Who can that be?
Is it possible that For the Defense might be Barba's new show? Because that would be amazing.
I feel like there's actually a definite possibility of that because Organized Crime worked out so well bringing someone that was a very beloved character back. I can see them just taking SVU, splitting it into little chunks because it's going to be successful.
Honestly, I would love it if Barba and Cabot are doing it. Because, last we saw
Casey Novak, just put her in there somehow.
Novak never went over to defense. She was a
prosecutor. Well, not yet. Maybe in the new show she will.
I just think it would be really amazing. Jennifer says in the chat, Jennifer, you make me laugh. Unless they decide to focus on Buchanan.
You laugh, I'd watch it.
Oh, I'd watch it so hard. That said, if Calhoun
would actually be fantastic. When did we last? Did something happen with her?
No, you're thinking of the one with the guy from Bosch.
Correct.
You know what I'm talking about.
The other one with a lot of lemons, right? She had like a bunch of like citrus on her counter.
Something like that, yeah.
Why is that what I don't remember anything about the storyline. I just remember she had a ton of oranges on her counter.
Oh man, that story. She was there when Stone, she like was involved in Stone's firing.
It's Callie Thorne, right? Is the actress?
Yes, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jennifer says Calhoun and Buchanan should be the stars of the show. Here's the thing. We've seen them work together because as we all rewatched recently, they worked together to defend Rudnick. So I could see that happening. I would love to see Barba and Calhoun because that'd be great. I think, Cabot could pop in.
That'd be fun. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
I would love that. I hope it is. I hope they bring back some faves.
Yeah, I hope at least somebody is somebody we know. Yeah, so let us know, who you think in the chat, or if you're watching later in the comments, as well as on the iTunes and wherever you're listening to podcasts. We'll tell you a little bit about our contest coming up shortly. That is the big show news. Very exciting there. We do a weekly poll here on SReview. Taylor, tell us about the weekly poll.
We sure do. So last week, we asked you guys what your favorite episode with a teen pop star was, because we had Jesse McCartney and Babes.
It's so funny because every time you ask that question, I went, why would we do a pop star for this episode? Because I forget that he was a pop star.
Yeah, and we already did a teen pregnancy one in February, so I couldn't do it. We couldn't repeat. So I had to get creative, and so I chose teen pop star.
I love it.
And sadly, we have a lot of people who have strong feelings on driver's license because Sabrina Carpenter's episode.
That's not why. That's not why.
I'm just kidding.
You know why? It's because she wasn't even in the episode.
She was. Look it up on IMDb. Our little Sabrina Carpenter got 5% of the vote with episode? Possessed. Possessed.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. In third place, we have Storm with Keke Palmer, which is disrespectful. That's a great episode. Keke Palmer is fantastic too. She's also in Hustlers, by the way.
Yes.
In second place, Babes, which
wow.
I'm so mad. Honestly, that deserved to win any poll that you throw it in, but that's fine, I guess. That was Jesse McCartney's episode. And number one, with more than 50% of the vote, we have
Yes.
Hillary Duff's Selfish, which that's fair. It's a good episode. Babe still should have won, but I'll allow it.
Selfish
This
is a
week-
great episode, especially in our current situation.
It is, but is there a slamming pair of jeans in that episode? There is
I don't want
not.
to talk about jeans right now. I'm very
Sorry.
annoyed. Go on.
Anyway, this week
I'll tell everybody why in a minute.
we asked you guys what your favorite show to have SVU cross over with is or was if it's no longer on. I will tell you the order of the votes right now. They might change from this week to next week, but in fourth place we currently have Chicago Fire. That seems fair. In second place we have a tie between Chicago PD and the mothership of Law and Order. Oh, just kidding. The votes changed, but Chicago Fire is still fourth. The mothership is in third. Chicago PD is in second, and then Organized Crime is currently in first place. I expect it to stay there, but I'm just curious to see any variation at all, honestly, because I thought that would be a pretty obvious choice, but maybe not.
Fascinating.
We'll tell you where to find that in a bit. What's your fave?
I don't know. I don't know. This
You
is
just don't like crossovers?
I usually love crossovers. I don't know where I stand. I'm still unsure. I haven't voted yet. Awesome. Thank you, Taylor. For those who are wondering what's going on with the jeans, let me tell you. We started, I don't know where it's going to be now because I have to redo it, but we started a TeePublic store where you could buy a baby's onesie that said Slammin' Pair of Jeans. And TeePublic, for whatever reason, decided that we violated their terms of service and deleted our account. So at this moment, you cannot purchase this, but you will soon because I'm going to redo it on a different place. So if you're checking out this show later, there will be a link in the description below. By the time you're listening to it, anyone live, I haven't done it yet. So sit tight. And don't steal my concept.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. It was very upsetting.
It's such a brilliant design.
It was so good. It was beautiful. Anyway, it's time for What Did We Learn? This is our segment where we share things that we learned. If you're watching us live, tell us what you learned. I had said this before the show, and I think I'm going to think of a new one, but I'm going to claim it anyway, so you can't have it.
That's fine. I have a different one that I thought of.
Good. Okay. You should always have a lipstick in your pocket in case you need to ask for a lawyer.
Ready?
Yes.
I'm going to enact it right now for you. Lawyer.
For those listening to the audio podcast, Taylor put on lipstick.
And kissed the screen.
Yep.
I agree with that. I also learned that. But I also learned maybe this is just some bullshit Olivia said that's not true. But does an elephant have a really good memory? Does an elephant never forget? Is that like a true thing in life? Or is that just something she made up?
That's a very well-known saying.
Okay, well, I didn't know it, so I learned that.
Amazing. You learned that saying. I don't know if it's a actually true fact, but that is a saying.
I'll Google it.
Okay. While you do that, Jennifer says you can write on the interrogation window with lipstick and not get beaten up by the police is what I learned. I'm going to add a caveat that she was a white woman and that she could write on an interrogation window with lipstick. Yeah.
It is true. Elephants have the largest brains of all land mammals.
Does that mean that they remember everything?
Yes. I don't have like a succinct answer, but I'm seeing yes.
Okay.
On this Google search.
All right. Yeah. What else did I learn? I learned that they're alleged nope. I learned that Jade started from the bottom, but now she's here.
Now you're here. That was so good.
That was good. Yeah. All right. Any other learning? Anything else anyone else learned?
Elliot learned one in Alice.
Yeah, Elliot did learn that.
I'm so glad for him.
Daryl's teaching us that they go on long migration patterns and memorize the spots in water.
That's actually fascinating. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Learning a lot about elephants today.
I love that for us.
Yeah, I learned that this episode was really good on rewatch and did not, and even without the crossover. Oh, okay. Sarah says, I learned not to be dumb with Snapchat, that they're going to milk what's in the dang letter until probably I forgot all about the letter. I was like, what is she talking about? Yes.
How could you?
They're going to milk what's in the letter until the season finale. Yeah, I forgot about that letter.
The letter just has started from the bottom.
Hilarious. No, you're right. Sarah makes such good points. I completely forgot. And I remember when we were watching the scene where she's like, you need to rest and you need to take care of yourself. And later at some point, he's like, are we good? And I was like, we still haven't talked about the letter. So yeah, I don't know that's,
we'll see.
We'll see where that goes. Amazing. Perfect. What did we learn, everybody? So good. I forgot about the letter. All right. Here's the contest that we're doing for those who missed it. We want you to help us decide what shows to cover when we go on hiatus. And to enter your suggestion, we are looking for comments on our YouTube channel and or on iTunes so that we can find people watching our show. So Taylor has that for us.
Yes, I didn't see any on iTunes, but we did have a few on our YouTube from last week. Alice Jones said, when I heard the line, not a slam and pair of jeans, I just knew it would be at the top of Taylor's list. Correct. Also, happy Mother's Day to the moms who invested their time to watch SVU and show up. I agree. It was so fun to have the moms last week.
Yeah, if you missed that, last week, not only did we talk about babes, but my mother and Felicia's mother joined us, which was wild.
Fantastic. Kay Hirsch also commented, I love having the moms on the show. So they were a big hit, as they should be. They're fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know that we'll do it again. My mother does not like this show.
And that's her right. You're entitled to your own wrong opinion. That's fine.
She's very wrong. She knows. Yeah. So please make sure that you are commenting on our YouTube. We're doing it every episode through the end of the season on iTunes and YouTube to help. And then we will decide who gets to decide what we're going to talk about in the summer. So as a reminder, if you need the hotline, the number is 1-800-656-4673. Please reach out if you need help. But until next week, when we have the return of Henry, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's going to be insane.
I'm so excited about next week's episode. But until then, check out Felicia Michelle on Instagram at It's Felicia Michelle. She does not use her Twitter, but the link to her Instagram is below. Taylor, where are you and where can everyone find the poll?
You guys can find me and the poll on Twitter at alphabet_and. You can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Amazing. I am everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL, including on Twitch. Tomorrow on Twitch, I will be putting together or setting up or doing something with an Xbox. I was given an Xbox. I don't know how it works. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And Sarah, amazing, just reminds us, justice for Snowball.
RIP. RIP.
We'll be discussing that next week. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who's here live. Some more shout outs. Sarah is here. Jennifer, Daryl, Zach, I saw earlier. Did I miss? I'm missing someone. Lio is here. Rosa is here. If you're watching live and did not comment, then I'm missing you and I'm so sorry, but I'm glad you're here and I appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.